6 months ago, I got a hair transplant at 22 years young, and here is everything I've learned since then. Number 1, why I got a hair transplant. After 6 months of having no hairstyle, I've realized that a big part of me doing this was to have freedom of hairstyle. Like, be able to slick it back or part it where I want, just do whatever with it. Because before, with my receded hairline, I had a very specific hairstyle that would cover it up perfectly, and I couldn't move it or mess with it at all, otherwise it would reveal all this unappealing forehead skin. But then a wind gust would come and it would do it anyway. So for me, this was to free me from constantly thinking and worrying about it all the time, and also my hands up to my hair fixing it every second of the day. Number 2, hair grows slow. I say this because I thought I had fast hair growth, and comparatively, I probably still do, but it still takes months and months for this hair to grow back. When I got my hair transplant, I opted for a full shaved head because I thought it would just look weird if I had like little patches of hair missing all over my head, but I was worried how long it would take my hair to grow back to a longer length. I've never really liked having short hair or even been bald before in my life, and the length that I think looks good on me is at least 4 or 5+ inches. Pause. So doing the math, I knew it'd be at least 10 months before my hair grew back to normal length. And if you look at me now, you'll notice something interesting, which leads me to number 3. Haircuts can be scary, okay? If you couldn't tell, I have not gotten a haircut yet. Okay, let me just give you a full 360 really quick. It's been 6 months since they shaved my head. Is it time to get a haircut? Yes. Will I get a haircut? Actually, yes. Here's my issue. I've always wanted this nice, long, luscious, flowing, slick back look that all these guys have now that are my age. It's like the new thing. Everybody's got it. Now, the issue that I had back then was that I had these recessions in the corner of my hair. So if I wanted to just slick my hair back or even part it in the middle, I'd have these huge gaping forehead gaps that I didn't like. For those of you who have this long hair, slick back look, you probably know best that for that, you need really long hair. And you especially need these front pieces right here to be long enough to fall between your eyes and your nose. So that way you can kind of style it and push it off to the sides. It's like having bangs. And right now, these front pieces fall barely to my eyebrow. Like if I pull them down, they go to my eyebrow a little bit. And this is because the newly transplanted hairs, all the ones at my new hairline, are about like 2 to 3 months behind in growth compared to all this natural hair behind it. And this happens because of what we call the shedding phase. The shedding phase happens at about the 1 month mark and lasts until the 3 month mark. And it's when all of those newly transplanted hairs fall out. So when your hair is nice and short and revealing everything, you see just how receded your hairline was and how clapped you were. But fear not, because when that 3 month mark rolls around, those new hairs will start regrowing and your faith in your hairline will be restored. What this means for me, since I haven't gotten a haircut, is that all my natural hair is at 6 months of growth, whereas all these new added hairs in the front here are only like 3 or 4 months of growth, which makes this sort of strange, uneven look at the front that I have going on right now. If I had to recommend to you what to do after getting your hair transplant, it would be to just get like monthly haircuts. And I know that sounds strange coming from someone who hasn't even gotten a haircut yet, all 6 months. But if you can keep everything at the same length, and if you look good with just like little short hair, almost bald, then probably just go for that. That way everything can grow out nice and even. Now, the reason I just let it grow out and haven't gotten a haircut yet was to just accumulate as much growth in as little as time as possible. And actually just to like measure the difference that we got going on here, I'm gonna get a little tape measure and we're gonna measure just how different in length the newly transplanted hair grafts are versus the natural growth. So these new pieces in the front are just between 2 to 3 inches. Then we pull a piece that's natural hair. It's definitely 4 inches. So that's already an inch difference, which would equal around 2 months difference in hair growth, which makes perfect sense with how everything's been going so far. Science. So my new plan is not quite to get it cut yet. I know. I'm worried about losing any length that I can get, because I want to have nice long hair in as short amount of time as possible. But instead, what I'm going to do is get smarter and more informed on number 4, hair maintenance. When I posted my 6-month TikTok update, I got a few comments about how dry my hair looked. The thing about that is I've never been known to use any hair products ever, which is a big mistake. All right, I'll be the first to admit it, right? And the reason for that goes back to my hairline again, because I needed that frizz and that poofiness to cover up the receding areas. So now that I've got this new hair there, I've been trying to figure out what products to get and what blow dryer and diffusers and sea salt sprays and clays and gels and molding and all these things that you need to get if you want that look. And hopefully I'll have that figured out by my 9-month video, if not sooner. Number 5, you should only compare against yourself. Yes, doing research like watching my videos is a great place to get information and make more informed decisions. But keep in mind that your hair transplant is not gonna happen exactly how mine happened to me. I thought that I had pretty similar hair to Brett Maverick and we were similar age and we had a similar transplant done. So I based a lot of the timing and growth goals on that. We know everyone is different and thus every transplant will be slightly different. The only true comparisons you can make are the ones against your past selves. So, speaking of which, let's look at my past self, huh? I definitely notice a much less receded hairline. I want to reiterate that this is not the final result. This is 50% of what the results are. And by 12 months, you're at like 90 to 95%. What happens after this is the hair not only becomes longer, but it becomes actually thicker. And that should help with any of those density concerns about the front of my hair. Now, these next images are at the milestones of the hair transplant. We have the before, the first day, the scabs off point, the shedding phase, the first signs of regrowth, and then my current growth at 6 months. So take that in. All I can say, it's been a long 6 months, but also it's gone so fast. Number 6, don't let others make decisions for you. This is a big one. Hair transplants can be difficult to talk about because of a lot of outdated information that I'm not even gonna reiterate here. I'm only gonna talk about my exact experience, which has been nothing but respect. I've actually found myself using my hair transplant and my solo traveling experience to Turkey as like one of the first things that I tell strangers to make a deeper conversation and connection with them. And I've only been met with curiosity or them telling me about someone they know that has gotten a hair transplant or someone they know that wants to get a hair transplant. The only time I've been met with anything negative was TikTok comments and one of my aunts. But that's only because they don't understand it. The information set they're working off is outdated. And it's not your problem to change your behavior to appease them when you're doing nothing wrong. It is, however, your choice to educate them. And that's why I'm making these videos. So feel free to send this video and my other videos to someone who needs a little more education. Now, if you've been watching my hair transplants and following along and you think that this is something that you want to do, sit with that thought for a while. Like, at least 3 months. I think I gave that thought like a year before I finally picked up the phone. But yeah, just check in every month and be like, is this something that I still want? And if it's always yes, and you've got good reasoning, which can be as simple as, I think I'd be happier, then do it. Time moves really fast, but each new day feels really slow, which means things feel really intense in the moment, usually due to your emotions. So do a favor to your future self and let them make that more emotionally balanced decision for you. Okay, if you're interested in learning more about the hair transplant experience, you can check out my first video. I basically filmed the entire experience, including flying from Chicago to Turkey alone, staying at the hotel, and even footage of the actual transplant. Pretty cool, but I will see you all in 3 months at the 9-month mark where hopefully I've had a haircut and have achieved the style that I'm going for. See you then.